Weird question in the book space. Are you allowed to rip a cover off of a novel and recover it? Is that copyright infringement? Is this okay to do? There's a lot that goes on with this conversation. So today we're talking to everybody's favorite IP and entertainment lawyer, Tony, to find out more.
My name is Tony Costas. I'm an adjunct professor of entertainment law and IP at New York Law School, and I have an Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok account called The IP Professor that is dedicated to all things intellectual property.
We've had an interesting conversation in the author realm this week, Tony, all about readers wanting to rip the covers off of novels and recover them. What are the legal ramifications of this? Can they do this? Is it some type of copyright infringement? What does this look like if they want to recreate their own covers and attach them to published novels?
So, first, I'll say I appreciate the creative endeavor and certainly the inventive effort that goes into taking an original book cover and reconstituting it into something else. That said, I don't think it's as much of a copyright infringement issue directly as I think it's more of a potential contract issue above anything else. So, let's bear in mind first and foremost that when somebody makes a book cover of some sort, those can contain basically three types of different images, right? There's royalty-free images where once you go to a photo agency website, you download it, you have an unlimited capacity to use that image in whatever manner possible. So you have the ability to use it in one book cover or two book covers, three book covers, whatever, so long as it's a royalty-free image. Then we get into the rights managed territory, which that could qualify as, basically editorial images. It could be even, I would even lump maybe Creative Commons license type of photos in that bucket as well. But essentially, you pay per use. You're downloading the photo for a specific use. And usually when you're working with a photo agency, like a Shutterstock or Getty or anybody else, you would have to disclose the premise of your use, what you intend to use that photo for. So that would be the RM bucket. And then the third bucket would be photos that you take or your own, basically your own user-generated content. So that said, when somebody wants to recover that type of book cover into something else like a gift or add their own flair to something, right? The problem with that happens there is the person may not be aware of, and I'm going to use you as an example, Cam. They may not be aware of like your contracts with those vendors. So if let's say you worked on a book cover deal that allowed you to use certain images in a book cover, and let's say two of the elements contain royalty-free images and one was a rights managed image, the person may not know that you had to go to Shutterstock or Getty and download under a specific license term, under a specific license agreement for access to those photos. And sometimes these types of contracts with these photo agencies contain certain provisions. So, for example, the permitted use for rights managed content. The contract between, let's say, you and Shutterstock may say that you're only permitted to use that rights managed image for that specific book cover and nothing else. And then there may be even a provisionary clause that says something to the extent of, you licensee are not allowed to manipulate, distort, or otherwise edit the material in a manner that harms the integrity of the material, something to that effect. So because you have these gatekeepers, if you will, or these kind of like, blockades that would otherwise prevent somebody else from doing anything beyond its intended use, which is the book cover, that's where somebody who's taken this inventive effort could run into basically a dead end. So bottom line is it's not as easy as just paying tribute to an author or just being fun and cute and creative and doing something with that book cover. There are a lot of layers to it, and primarily it's the contractual side of it. So that's where I think a creator can't just automatically do it. They would have to contact the author, say, hey, I want to do this. Is this okay? And the author would have to bear the burden of reviewing the contract terms to see what is or isn't allowed. And then, at the end of the day, it's all about understanding that maybe there's a better likelihood of doing this type of recovering, if you will, with royalty-free images or even user-generated content that the author creates, so long as they grant that permission, versus the rights managed stuff, because that's where it's stricter above anything else.
So while it is a possibility, there's a lot of legwork to make sure it's something that is okay to actually rip a cover off, recreate it, and reattach it to a novel that has been published and out in the world. If you are going to be taking those steps, you have to make sure that you're reaching out to the author, the publisher, whoever is the copyright holder of that novel, and asking for permission to make sure that they have permission to let you have permission to do all of these fun, fancy, wonderful things that you're considering doing. So make sure you give yourself plenty of time and space to be able to reach out and get the proper instructions to be able to move forward if this is something that you do want to do. If you have questions, drop those down below. We want to make sure that we are getting those answered for you. And if you have other legal questions about the publishing, writing, reading world, we want to make sure we're getting those answered for you. Tony's coming back for even more episodes, so now's the time to drop those down below. And as always, you can reach out to Tony on his social medias where he is keeping us legally protected in the entertainment and IP space. Tony, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at the IP Professor.
If you have other writing and reading industry questions, drop those down below for an upcoming episode of our show. We're dropping daily episodes to help you level up and be more profitable this year inside of the writing and reading space. And Tony will be back for upcoming episodes, so if you have a legal bent to your question, make sure you let us know down below because we want to make sure we're getting those filmed for you as quickly as possible to keep you legally protected and on the right track inside of this industry. We'll see you in the next episode.